I guess I will get us started with today's mastermind and everything. So give it up for me. So I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Coming up to this event, I was having the most difficult time figuring out what exactly I was going to talk about. Because when you think about it, we've been doing the WLMA for about maybe 5 years now. There's like over 80 modules in the course of just diving into strategy, diving into tactics, diving into branding now. The past 2 retreats and everything, I was diving deeper into sales, diving deeper into marketing and everything. And I was like, sitting there a couple months ago, if I go over more strategy, is that gonna take away from what WL members need? Is it gonna add to what they need? So I started thinking a little bit more about like me and Crystal's journey. We've been entrepreneurs for a long time now. We've been able to build 2 multiple 6-figure businesses. And through that journey of growing these businesses, I was thinking about all the times that we got stuck, all the times that we plateaued, all the times where we felt like we got lost in the chaos of the business, all the times where I felt like we were stuck and I just didn't know what to do. And a lot of those times I was doing a lot of learning. We had more than enough strategies, more than enough tactics on what it takes to actually grow a business. And I was like, why did we get stuck? We got stuck not because of lack of strategy, but a lack of clarity. A lack of clarity on where we were, where we are now, and what is actually needed to move our business forward. So that's exactly what I'm going to be going over today. This presentation is called Clarity, Journey from Zero to Multiple 6 Figures. And pretty much in this lesson, I'm going to be going over 4 stages for you guys. 4 stages from that I believe every single entrepreneur who continues pushing forward goes through. Chris and I have gone through it. We see it in every single one of our members, whether they're in it, whether they're stuck, whether they move beyond it. And the new skills that are needed to move beyond certain stages in the journey. And this is so important because I promise you this, if you don't see it, if you don't see exactly where you are, that's when you're going to plateau. That's when you're going to get stuck. That's when you're going to get lost in the chaos of actually growing and scaling your business. So, agenda that I have for this presentation that I want to make sure you guys get out of is we're going to define these 4 stages. Maybe you've passed it, maybe you are in it, maybe you're about to move into it, maybe you're kind of in between. I'm going to break down exactly why people get stuck and how to move beyond. So let's begin. First stage I wanted to go over, and I believe most people in the WLMA are past this stage, but I'm going to go over it anyway just so there's clarity of what the stage looks like. It's called unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence. And it's the very first tier of the pyramid I'm going to be going over. And pretty much unconscious incompetence means you don't know you suck yet. You don't know that you're bad at business. Like, look how naive I look in this picture 11 years ago. You know, when I first started my wedding photography business, I did not know the things that I was about to go through when I was going to grow my business. And what I call this stage as well is often the entrepreneur phase, the dabbler phase. This is often a phase where we are just getting into photography. We're thinking of starting a business. It's maybe a side hustle. It's maybe a hobby at this point. Very often in this stage, maybe you start listening to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk or a lot of people like Gary Vaynerchuk, where you got motivated to start your business, start your side hustle into a full-time business. And at this stage, you're very naive to the challenges that you're about to face, which is actually kind of a good thing. Because if you were truly not naive and you knew exactly what you're going to be going through as an entrepreneur and what it truly took, you may have not even taken that leap. So we're just in the very beginning, 5% or less of our journey right over here. Now, why do people get stuck here? Why you have experienced getting stuck here? And maybe do you see people get stuck here? Often we're not aware of our incompetence at this point. We're not aware of that we're just not good at marketing. We're not good at sales. We're not good at building a brand yet. And because we don't have that awareness of what it truly takes, When we hit our first failures, we get discouraged, pretty much. We don't understand that building an expertise, just like building your art, is truly building expertise, is a skill set. That's something you need to learn. And very often in this stage, we fear to make that leap forward, from going from that part-time to full-time and taking those risks. How do we get beyond it? Most of you have passed this stage. How do we get beyond? How have you probably gotten beyond this stage? This is what you pretty much need to do. Shoot a lot, shadow a lot, ensure that you love it, focus on a quality portfolio at this time, and actually take the leap of starting the business. You started your LLC, you built your first website. Mentally prepare to fail a lot. And then mentally understand that you know nothing at this point. As soon as you can understand that you know nothing at this point, we can move to the next stage. I want to go through this one really quickly, but we can move on to the next stage. So yeah, the faster you can understand that you know nothing with marketing and sales at this point, we can move on. And that leads us to our next stage over here. And this is called conscious incompetence. Conscious incompetence. We're on the second tier of our pyramid right over here. So pretty much what conscious incompetence means is you know you suck now. You are aware that you're not good at business. Kind of think about a time when you picked up your first camera, you're loving it, and you kind of thought you were great. You got critiqued by someone, and then you're like, crap, I'm really not good at photography. I need to work on my game here. So this is a place where we've built awareness. You've probably experienced where you've made that leap to grow a business. And you're in this stage now where you've been working on figuring out how to grow it. You've been building word of mouth. You've been working on social media. Maybe you went on the Knot. Maybe you've gone to some wedding fairs. And maybe you've been doing this for 6, 12 months, maybe a few years. And you failed. You failed a lot at this point. So it's built that awareness that you lack the knowledge that you need to grow and scale. You are aware that, okay, the business is not where it needs to be. I need predictability. I need consistency. And you've pretty much been running this business and by what I call hope strategy. So pretty much hope strategy. Imagine there's a target 100 yards down. You have a rifle. You need to hit that target, but there's fog everywhere. You can't even see your hand. You kind of know where the target is. You're just kind of blindly shooting, hoping that these little tactics that you're learning here and there is going to hit that target. And that's pretty much how most people run their business at this point here. And you're very much focused on a lot of busy work in the business. You're a lot of working in the business, not so much working on the business. You're doing a lot of creative work. You're working with a lot of things that keep the business afloat, but you don't really know what's going to move the business actually forward. And at this point, because now you have a clear awareness of where you're lacking, of the knowledge that you have, you're in consumption mode at this point. You're probably Googling, how do I get more photography leads? You're on YouTube, how do I grow my wedding photography business in 2023? Which is a good thing. When we get in that consumption mode, that's when we can start moving on to the next step. So this is what conscious incompetence looks like. Why do we get stuck here? This is so important right here. Why do we get stuck in conscious incompetence? Number one, no plan, no system. You can learn a lot of different tactics, but if there is not a distinct plan that helps you get from point A to point B to point C, you're going to have a lot of issue when it comes to growing your business. Number two, lack of commitment and discipline. If you do find a plan, but you are not able to stick to it for the long term, you're not going to be able to break that point. Fear of failure and risk and imposter syndrome. These are mindset issues here, but what you'll often find when it comes to the fear of failure, the fear of taking those risks and imposter syndrome is inaction. And with inaction, we can't grow our business. Number four, shiny object syndrome. Probably one of the most important, the most common things I see, and pretty much what shiny object syndrome builds a lack of focus. And what this might look like. Let's say you're in the WLMA. You learn funnels, sales, Facebook ads. You're excited about it. You launched your first campaign. Then you see us post about SEO and put an SEO guide. So this month you totally drop Facebook ads. Now this month you totally just focus on SEO. And you're excited. You're gonna build your SEO. You're excited on where this is gonna take you. Then you see someone post about Instagram Reels. So you totally drop Facebook ads, totally drop SEO. This month you're focused on your Instagram Reels. You're doing a lot of work. You're doing a whole lot of work, but you're not moving the business anywhere.
So talk about me, Jordan.
It's a shiny object syndrome. I've experienced it myself. I've 100% experienced this myself. And then I'm talking, like everything I talk here is like from experience, from like what I've experienced. And one important area here is where maybe you're not necessarily stuck, but there's a lack of momentum, there's a lack of speed that you want in the beginning phase of your business, is you're focused on money later strategies too early. So let me explain this a little bit more. So there's what I call money now strategies, and there's what I call money later strategies. So money later strategies are things that are important in business. There are things that you eventually should get established in your business, but they're strategies that may take 6, 12, 24 months to really see a strong impact. And those are often things like maybe SEO, maybe YouTube, referrals, social media growth, interviews, PR. Important things, but the impact comes later. Money now strategies are things where you know you can get results in 30, 60, 90 days. Those are often things like direct outreach strategies, ads, funnels, sales. You know you can get leads now. You know you can nurture attention now. You know that once you get that consultation, you have a process to turn that into profit now. So often in the very early stages of the business, I've seen people build very profitable businesses before getting them to the 6 figures through money later strategies, but it took a very long time. That's how some of our students, they'll hit it in 6 to 12 months versus years, because the money now strategies were building momentum with that first type of thing. So what to do? If you find yourself stuck in this stage of conscious incompetence, what do you want to do to move beyond this? Number one, this is key, and this is why we're all here as well. Mentors, programs, masterminds, books. Pretty much. Even you need a plan. You need a plan. Even if you follow 50% of someone else's plan, it's better than not having a plan at all, which is really, really important. Number 2, collaboration, why we all decided to come here as well. And this is incredibly important when it comes to speed. Because imagine this. Imagine you have 2 people. You have 2 people, they're working on their wedding photography business. They're following a plan, and they're testing, they're refining, they're giving feedback here and there on what works, what doesn't work. Those 2 people are going to grow their business much faster than that one person over there who's just trying to figure out everything out on their own. But imagine now you have a group of 20 people like we have right now. Imagine now that you have a group of almost 1,000 people, like in the virtual community that we have. You're testing, you're refining, you're sharing, you're giving feedback of what worked, you're giving feedback on what didn't work, you're giving reasons on what things that you've learned after this experience. That group of 20 people is going to grow their business so much faster than that group of 2 people working together. So first thing, get a plan and collaborate, mentors, masterminds, collaboration. Number 3, focus. This is so important. And I really believe, especially in this stage, you want to focus on maybe 1 or 2 strategies for more progress. I'll tell you this. There are almost limitless ways, and this is why shiny objects is a thing. There are like so many ways to grow a wedding photography business. Things that I haven't even tried. And the thing is, though, you can't do them all. You 100% can't do them all. So you need to find 1 that is going to be your core, 2 that is kind of a branch. If you have the capacity, maybe 3. But you need to find 1 or 2, maybe 3 strategies, 1 that's going to be the core, if you truly want to make long-term and fast progress. Obviously, long-term application, if you follow a plan, you don't do it for a long enough time, you're not going to get results. And this is my personal opinion here. I truly believe that in this stage, 80 to 90%, especially if you want speed, 80 to 90% of your strategy should be money now strategies. Build a compound effect. Build consistency with money now strategies. You can work on those money later strategies so that way, in 12 months, those things have compounded and you're getting those results from it. But 80-90% focus on money now strategies. Now, this is the hardest stage. It's not the longest stage, but it is the most difficult stage. I remember the frustrations that I went to, because at this stage, you are aware that you don't know what you don't know. You are aware that you need a plan. But even then, you're following by blind faith. You're following by blind faith at this point, because you're in a place where you're getting a lot of book knowledge, but your experience isn't quite there. Your experience knowledge has not yet equaled your book knowledge. The things that you maybe are learning from a course, the things that you are hearing from mentors, your experience is not level to it. So you're in a place where you need to follow with blind faith, continue following a plan, test, refine, see what things kind of work a little bit better for you in this stage. And I want to add this a little bit here. I thought this was an important point before I move on. Now, can you be in this stage of conscious incompetence, but still have a successful business? And this was an example that I found several times in my life. I was on a phone call with someone actually interested in joining the WLMA. She had phenomenal work, absolutely phenomenal work. She actually was in the six figures with her business. But it happened in a very interesting way, where pretty much a wedding planner met her, kind of by chance, nothing purposeful there, absolutely loved her work, referred her to everyone. No marketing skills, no sales skills, but it was able to take her to a six-figure business. And it is a kind of a dangerous place to be in, because what if that wedding planner decided to refer someone else? What if she had to move for some reason? What if that wedding planner had to move? You would start from scratch, not knowing where to go from there. And so I've seen some situations, small percentage of situations that happen like that. So usually in those cases, if luck was heavily involved, I believe luck is a big part of business as well, but if luck was heavily involved and you feel like you cannot replicate those results, maybe in a faster amount of time, if you lost it all, you may still be in the conscious incompetence phase. But once you've been following a plan, once you've been learning tactics, once you've been actually implementing those things, and experience starts to catch up to your book knowledge. Your experience knowledge, which is very, very different, starts to catch up to your book knowledge. That's when we end up in this stage right over here. Conscious competence. Conscious competence. And conscious competence is the third tier of our pyramid right over here. And pretty much what conscious competence means is you're good. It's like, you're building competence with the skills and the strategies that you've been learning. You've been following a plan, maybe for a year, maybe more than a year at this point. And you're good at sales. When you hop in those wedding consultations, you know what you're converting and you're getting those results from it. Your funnel is converting. Your lead engine is converting. Like, when you know how to get leads on demand at this point. And maybe at this point, maybe you are on your way to your first six figures, or you've hit your first six figures. But there are still also leaks and shortcomings in your marketing and everything. And this right here is absolutely the longest stage, I would say. For most people, I would say it's the longest stage. Not the mentally hardest, because we have a much more clear vision from our actual experience, but it's the longest stage that you're going to go through as an entrepreneur. So, now we've reached a place where experience equals knowledge. So remember that. Conscious competence is when your experience as the business owner has equaled your knowledge. Your experience knowledge is matching that book knowledge. Now, why do people get stuck here? Why do people get stuck in this stage where they're actually getting good, they're making sales, they're getting predictability in their business? Number one, I see is people get content. There's nothing wrong with being content. Like if you're happy with where your business is at, you're happy with the profit that you're making, the types of clients that you're making, that's 100% okay. But what happens with content is lack of motivation for growth in certain areas. So that is one thing that I often see. It's something, there's nothing wrong with this, but it's often something that I see that keeps people plateaued. You'll hit a ceiling there. Number two, this is what I see the most in the wedding photography art industry in general. Your inner artist overshadows your inner entrepreneur. And there's nothing wrong with this as well. No, if you are a pure artist and that's what you want to be, that's 100% okay. But you also have to keep in mind that what the artist wants to focus on is totally different than what the entrepreneur wants to focus on. The artist wants to do all the creating. The artist wants to do all the editing. They're going to be focused on a lot of the busy work that's happening in the business. When the entrepreneur is focused on how can I free up more time and scale, pretty much. And so what happens when the artist overshadows the entrepreneur, you often hit a ceiling with time. You want to edit everything. You want to shoot everything. You want to do all this other busy work in the business that are important things, but you're often going to hit a ceiling when it comes to scale. Now, what to do here? The business is going good. It's slowly growing and everything. You truly do want to move beyond this place. Like you're not feeling content. It's like, I want to scale this much further. I want to take this much further. This is what I truly believe that needs to happen. What Kristen and I experience and what I see change in a lot of members in the WLMA as well. Your inner entrepreneur needs to equal or exceed the inner artist in you. And that's a tough thing to do, especially if you're like a pure artist. I was the exact same way. Like when I first started photography, literally all I wanted to do was play music and take pictures. Like that's all I wanted to do. I did not want to think about business. I didn't want to think about marketing. I didn't want to think about sales at all. I thought it was so boring. I can't get enough of it. But I thought it was so boring. And it's hard to make that transition. And I believe that there's only one way to start making that transition in our mind, in the way that we think and who we are. And that's pretty much surrounding yourself with other very hungry entrepreneurs who want what you want to achieve. And number two, seeing some of the best entrepreneurs in the world today, consuming everything about them, consuming their content, adopting their mentality. I still do this to this day. There's entrepreneurs that I look up to and who have what I want. And I pretty much brainwash myself of the way they think. Because I know they have what I want because of the mentality and the way that they think. So I adopt their mentality, and that makes me more hungry, more focused to want to expand who I am, change who I am, and focus on different things in the business as well. What else to do here as well? You need to start getting to a place where you're outsourcing busy work and your weaknesses. Outsourcing your business work and the weaknesses. For editing is probably taking up most of your time. That's probably one of the first things you should outsource. Photographers Edit, that's Nathan Horowitz's company and everything as well. One of the best companies you can outsource your editing to. That's going to save hours of your time where you can focus on more profit-producing activities. Number two, virtual assistants, VAs. You can find agencies that train them. You can find people on Upwork. We have a VA named Rina, Filipino. And the great thing about some virtual assistants in the Philippines, I'm Filipino as well, is they're really cheap. They're really cheap, $3 an hour. And before I hired her, I talked to my aunt. I was making sure that this is good money for them. I was like, we're paying her 8 hours a day, $3 an hour. What's that to them in the Philippines? And she's like, it's pretty much like a doctor. How much a doctor makes in the Philippines. I was like, awesome. So there are little tasks that you're doing every single day that are necessary for the business to grow, but you don't need to be doing them. Think about those little tasks that take up 2 hours of your day. And it's like, oh, I want to work on this aspect of the business to push it forward. But there's these little things that I need to do. Virtual assistants, train them. And it doesn't need to be 8 hours. It can start off with 2 hours. It can later turn into 4 hours. And then as the business grows and you have more little tasks, you can train them to maybe an 8-hour day type of thing.
Sure. Can you give us a couple of examples of what Rena does for you guys?
Yeah, so Rena, direct outreach, emails, replying to people, those types of tasks. Little things, sometimes working on back ends of programs, that can sometimes take a little bit of time.
We've given her like a lot of templates too. Like this is the script, a lot of stuff that we used to do that took a lot of time. So we gave her a template and steps to follow, what to say, what to do, and that just frees up so much time.
Exactly. Sometimes replying to people. As it gets more busy, you're gonna find these little tasks that you're just like, I don't need to, this could easily be trained to someone else pretty much. Sometimes social media, which I'll dive into as well. Social media managers. This was something big that Tom and Ballman did that helped them get to multiple six figures in the program. And so if that's something that's a weakness of yours, you don't have very good systems, you don't know quite what to do in those areas, social media managers, sometimes you can train your virtual assistants to do that as well. Where it's like, I'm only paying her maybe 2 hours a day. We can add in maybe a couple more hours and we'll show her the systems and the things that we like to do for social media. We'll just send them the content and then they'll do it, type of thing. And if you are at a place where maybe you feel like you're not quite ready to outsource these things, or you're getting there, you at least have to master your workflows. You have to speed up those workflows. Think about those tasks that are not moving the business forward, that are taking you maybe 4 hours, but you could turn that into 2 hours, save an extra 2 hours to focus on profit-producing activities. These tasks that are actually going to push your business forward. Still, also as well, beyond this, keep finding mentors when it comes to your weaknesses. If you have troubles in some areas of your funnel, talk to us. There's people here right now who are maybe much better at certain aspects of their marketing that you can collaborate, jump into their mind, see what they're doing as well. And I believe at this stage here, this is when you want to start layering your lead engine. Start layering in more money later strategies with your money now strategies. Let's say if you did scale to the six figures mainly through money later strategies, start layering in those money now strategies into the business. That way we can start building more brand longevity. So let's say if you grew your business to six figures through Facebook ads primarily, start thinking about picking a lane in one of these areas. If you have the capacity, maybe you can choose more. But SEO, maybe it's Google, YouTube, which we'll be talking about with Junior real soon, Pinterest. One of our students, Kaylee Taylor, also known as Kaylee Lockhart, really big now. She blew up through Pinterest, pretty much. Went pretty much viral through Pinterest. So some lanes that you can think about choosing and layering in. Starting to grow that social media presence now. That's something that is important, but takes a lot of time, which is why we focus on the money now strategies. But now we can be like, okay, we want to become a little bit more of a go-to authority, more social proofing. We'll start building that. And then vendor referrals as well. So think about what you have the capacity for and pick a lane as far as one of those things. I want to mention this as well. To avoid as much shiny object syndrome as possible, just because you start layering in more money later strategies does not mean you stop the money now strategies that got you to the point that you are. So that's a big mistake people will make here. It's like, okay, it's like we grew our business to six figures through Facebook ads. Now we're all in on Google ads. You stop your Facebook ads and then you regress. So think about what you have the capacity to. Maybe you can outsource things. Think about those things. Now we're in a place that's really exciting. We're in a place where your experience starts to turn into mastery. The knowledge you have from just doing, the knowledge you have from just taking action and following a plan for a long time starts to exceed the knowledge you're getting from courses, starts to exceed the knowledge you're getting from books, wherever you may be learning. And this is a place where we get to unconscious competence. This is where we're shooting tomorrow as well. And so hopefully weather works out well and we'll take you guys here. But unconscious competence. And unconscious competence because it's subconscious. You've been doing this so long where you pretty much know, you're not even thinking about the results you're getting and the actions that you're doing. We're at the top of the tier now. I know that you can always learn and go further and build more mastery and all types of things, but we have to stop the pyramid somewhere. And we're at conscious competence. And this is where, what I also call mastery. you've now built mastery of the skills that you have. You've mastered your sales. You've done so many consultations at this point. You've mastered your sales consultations. You've mastered your brand. You've been running these ads. You've been running your marketing and your funnels and tweaking those things for so long that you know how to get conversions. Pretty much at this point, even when things slow down, you know how to get your dream clients on demand. If something happens in the market, if something happens in your business, you have a pretty good general idea. You're very good at problem solving at this point. Like, okay, this happened this year. I'm going to do this action. I'm going to do this action and this action. This should get us back to where we want it to be. You've become a master at problem solving. Entrepreneurs are pretty much professional problem solvers. That's what it comes down to. And at this point, maybe if it's just you, you're hitting a consistent 6 figures. Maybe if you have a bigger team, no, you're hitting a consistent multiple 6 figures. Now, even at this level where we've mastered so many skills, we have this predictability, we have this consistency, why do we get stuck here? There's several things, some of them layer with the first one, but there's several things of why people get stuck and can't continue pushing the business forward. One, maybe they did not layer enough money later strategies for brand longevity. Another one that I didn't add on here is sometimes you can scale your ads even further, but you haven't really pushed it and taken those risks as far as scaling your ad spend a little bit more. So those are 2 things. 2, still not very efficient with systems and workflows. You're still working a lot in the business, and there's a lot you can do to change things around so you can be more of the captain of the business and start steering the business where you want it to be. And then 3, at this point, especially as wedding photographers and filmmakers, we hit our weekend cap. And there's two different types of weekend caps. There may be the weekend cap where you're emotionally burnt out, like you cannot emotionally shoot any more weddings, or 2, where you literally physically can't shoot any more weddings. Now, this is why people get stuck in this stage. This is what to do in this stage if you want to continue pushing the business forward. Now we're in a place where we've built our systems, we have predictability, we have consistency. We need to start focusing on brand longevity with the money later strategies. This is what's going to make us more of a go-to authority in the market, a high-value leader in the market. And when you can get into that place where you're a go-to authority, a high-value leader, you have more of those long-term organic strategies, the business almost just starts to pick up itself at this point. Adding in those money later strategies with the money now strategies, refining your systems, workflows, and team management, working on the business, not as much in it. And there are 3 ways at this point where you can break that weekend cap. The first way is the easiest way. It's adding on associates as needed. Maybe you're paying them $1,000, $1,500 to shoot a wedding. You're booking those weddings at maybe $5,000, $7,000. And this is the easiest way because there's not really much that we have to change at this point. We already know how to get leads. Our organic's building up. There's only 2 things that we usually need to reframe and change at this point, and that's a little bit with our brand and our sales process, so they no longer just want you, they want your team. One of our students at close to $500,000 a year, we had to do that with him. He was stuck because people just wanted him. He was getting burnt out with how many weddings he was shooting. People just wanted him. He came to us. Crystal reworked with his brand, so they really wanted his team. I helped rework reframing that sales process. So that way, he was able to book weddings where he wasn't even at for $5,000 and up, pretty much. So that's the easiest way to continue moving up. The second is actually selling education. That's the route that Crystal and I decided to go. Selling education, maybe it's for photographers, maybe it's for couples and everything as well. There's pros and cons when it comes to this. The pros are there is no weekend cap. It's like you can keep bringing on more clients, more customers at this point. You don't have to worry about adding on more people to your team to manage at this point. The con is, it's pretty much like starting a business from scratch. Starting all over again at unconscious incompetence. Building a business all over again. The strategies are a lot more advanced as far as scaling an education business. So you have to think about if that's the route that you want to take, think about where you truly see yourself long term, how passionate you are on whatever you want to teach, and deciding if that's the route you want to take. And number 3, if you don't want to add on associates, maybe you don't want to sell education, it's pretty much squeezing as much as you can out of each client. Upselling albums, upselling prints, creating repeated customers. Maybe that is through, family, boudoir, senior, grads, and you maybe can create a second brand that leads all of your current customers to that area as well. Now, that's how you can break that weekend cap once you hit there. Now, this is something I truly believe. I believe that the current stage we are on is directly correlated to your bookings and where you feel like your business is at, because the market doesn't lie. The market doesn't lie when it comes to our marketing and sales skills. The market doesn't lie when it comes to what clients think about our brand and our portfolio. There are times when we can get lucky, with some of those situations that we have, but for the most part, the market is telling you what you deserve as far as that. Which is why I believe you must know where you are at right now. Why are you getting stuck? Think about where you're at and how not to get stuck in that area. So take a moment right now and think about these 4 stages and ask yourself, where do you find yourself right now? And ask yourself, why are you stuck? And think about actual actions you need to do to move past the current stage that you're in. And I promise you this, if you build and find this clarity of where exactly you are, and you find the actions you need to take for your specific situation, you're gonna find new milestones in the next 12 months. And I just want to end with this quote by one of my favorite authors, Robert Greene. He wrote the book Mastery, and he writes, "In the future, the great division will be between those who have trained themselves to handle these complexities and those who are overwhelmed by them, those who can acquire skills and discipline their minds, and those who are irrevocably distracted by all the media around them and can never focus enough to learn. The time that leads to mastery is dependent on the intensity of our focus. The time that leads to mastery is dependent on the intensity of our focus." So think about, we've done this already with our craft and art, photography and filmmaking. We've had that intensity of focus to get our art to a certain level, to build mastery in those skills. And I'll leave you guys with, are you willing to have that intensity of focus with the skills that are needed to continue pushing your business forward?